Today we have Wen Teoh from the EPICentre at the University of Windsor. She is the director of the entrepreneurship program offered at the University of Windsor, and she's here with us this afternoon to talk to us about what some of the work at the EPICentre is doing to help entrepreneurs in our local area, along with some of the amazing new programs they've launched since the pandemic. So welcome to our show, Wen.
Hi, thank you, Nour, for inviting me. Good
You're very,
afternoon.
yeah, you're very welcome. You were featured on CTV yesterday talking about the Epic Nimble program, a new program that was launched in partnership with the Small Business Center and VTech Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
There's also the Founders Program that you've been doing for a number of years. So there's various programs that the EPICentre offers students and alumni at the University of Windsor. Can you walk us through what you offer, and then we'll go talk about specific programs?
Okay, so we focus mainly on students and recent graduates because we are affiliated with the University of Windsor, but we also support the community and entrepreneurs. We have a couple of clients at our incubator that they are VTech clients as well, and we run a lot of workshops. They're free networking events that are always open to the community and students. Like Noor say, we have some specific programs that we call them our venture programs. They are established to help anyone who's interested to start a business. So they focus on people who are in the ideation stage all the way to the launch and grow up stage.
So you talk like we all have these great ideas
Mm-hmm.
where you find a gap in something that you're looking for, or a service you're in need of, or just something that you've always been dreaming of. So you have all these ideas. What's the first step you encourage someone, especially a student, who may have an idea to do while they're in university? Should they
Mm-hmm.
come to the EPICentre and say, listen, I don't know about anything about starting a business, but I have this idea. Can someone walk me through to see if it's a feasible idea? Would that be the first step?
Yes, sure. So we have a program called the Discovery Program. As the name suggested, you are discovering for yourself. What we teach them is the lean startup framework, or a rather a small piece of the framework, where the first step is to validate whether your idea or the solution that you think you have is actually solving a problem. Otherwise, if you have a cool idea, but if there's no business opportunity, you have no business. So that is the first thing that we walk them through, that we give them homework they have to do on their own. We assign them a mentor. We have two entrepreneurs in residence, Dave Kirby and Maureen Lucas. They are successful entrepreneurs from the community. So we assign student to one of them, and they meet with the mentor twice a month to get feedback. So it's a very flexible program because we know students have different busy workloads. So they work on their ideas during school time, and we want them to be able to work on the idea when they have time. So it's flexible in a way that they do more when they have more time. And exam time, we may not see them for 2-3 weeks, but that is okay because we are there to support them.
Well, that's really practical because
Hmm.
it allows a student to balance both their schoolwork, but also go through the ideation process and
Hmm.
discovery process to see if they have a feasible idea that can lead to a successful business. What were some of the ideas that students have presented, some that may have launched and others that may not have launched?
Students always come with different ideas, and discovery is the stage where even sometimes students walk in with 7 ideas, and they will say, "Oh, I'm not sure which one I should focus on. Can you help?" But we often tell them that it's not our job to help you decide which idea. It's our job to guide you through so that you can figure out which is the most feasible idea. And I'll give you an example. I think you know about greener bin composting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dane, he was in our discovery program maybe 2 years ago, and he came with I think 6-7 ideas, and Maureen was his mentor, And we know that we have to be patient, because if you don't have the background, you don't know what to do. And the what we want to do is just sit them down, and you tell them to pick. We tell them different ways that they can validate. He had some of the craziest ideas I've heard. I'm not gonna share it here, but at the end, he figured out which is the best for him. And even so, he started with the greener bin composting. He's still doing it, but since then he has actually come up with a different revenue stream. So he started raising chicken. He has eggs.
Yeah.
He has a farm. He diversified. But he started with 6 different crazy ideas, and he was able to go through different programs. And we were very, very excited and glad to help him through the process.
That's amazing. And I love that you shared that example. Can you tell us what is his company? So Greener Bin Compost. For those that are just tuning in, what does he do?
So he is a weekly pickup service for compost. We all know it's very difficult to compost our in the backyard. So what we do is you subscribe to his service. He gives you a bin, and you put all the compost in the bin. And every week you just leave the bin in outside of your house, the curb or somewhere, and he will pick it up, and he'll leave you with a clean bin, so you don't have to worry about that. um, and at the same time, he takes all the compost to a farm, and he composts them.
That's
And
amazing.
when he has the compost ready, you can get it back for your garden.
That is amazing. We've
Mm-hmm.
posted his website on the screen, so we definitely recommend. He's still in service now during COVID-19.
I think he stopped his service for a little bit, and the last
Yeah.
time I saw his email, he was going to resume pickup this week or so. But because of all the extension of the closure, so I don't know if he has to delay as well.
We'll definitely have to check him out. What
Mm-hmm.
are some other companies that students have started through the EPICentre? Maybe give me one more, and then we'll go into some of what the challenges they faced.
Okay, so we ran a social enterprise program. That was a program that was funded by Liberal Credit Union. So we just graduated the second cohort early this year, and one of them is one of the companies is doing music sessions, and they call Half Step Away Music Center. Three student of I guess 3 young men started a company, and they wanted to make sure music is accessible for everyone who wants to learn it. And they came to the idea, not so much with an idea, because their skill is to play music. They know how to teach music, and one of them even has a psychology degree, I believe, that they want to combine the psychology aspect with music learning. So the lesson can cater to different people, so everyone can learn music in a different way, right? So that is something we're excited. But I know because of the closure, music is something that you teach like one on one, and this is
Mm-hmm.
going to be a challenge for them for a little bit. So we'll have to figure out a way to help them and see how they can get on track. And because they were about to launch the business, and then we have this pandemic. We'll have to follow up with them to see how we can help them through that.
So and thank you for sharing that. And you've highlighted two companies who have recently been impacted by
Mm-hmm.
the pandemic, amongst hundreds and thousands of
Mm-hmm.
companies. This is in particularly hitting small businesses and startups and entrepreneurs really hard, especially those that don't have the resources or the capabilities to
Mm-hmm.
respond as quickly. What are some resources and tools or organizations supporting entrepreneurs in our local area in Windsor, Essex? So we'll go local, and then we can highlight together some national organizations.
Mm-hmm. So I know we were in the regional alliance call this morning, where all
Mm-hmm.
the organizations that support small businesses, or even like businesses in the community, are all in the call. And I know VTech has been busy helping their clients and small business center as well. And from our perspective, and it is it's not slow time, but because our clients are usually students, we know now is a final exam period, so we don't see much of them, but we still keep close touch, close connection with them. Sydney, my colleague, chats with them very often through Microsoft Teams or Zoom meeting. We send them frequent email just to check up on them. So some of the programs that especially from EPICentre side. So there's a program that I just started to support our own incubator members or clients who are in EPICentre space. This is it. We call it the EPIC Startup Sustainability Fund. This is a fund that is helping startups within our who are our clients, that if they are doing anything that is solving a COVID-19 challenge, or if they are working on business that's related to a mobility issue. The reason we focus on mobility, because the fund was supported through the FedF Ontario's grant that focus on mobility. So I am able to have the fund to support startups who are in that sector, as well as if they now have to pivot and open up a new business, I guess a new revenue stream, because of the demand of products of services that coming from the pandemic, that we can support them. This is something that we are doing right now internally. And for more externally, so we mentioned the nimble program that we are running in partnership with VTech Alliance and Small Business Center. So, I got this inspiration for that program a few weeks ago when I saw the news on Windsor Star, where they mentioned some local businesses that were facing closures, but they were able to start delivery services that they have never done before, in a way to try to save their business, and also be able to serve their clients, because clients now cannot go to the store to buy their products, so they bring the products to them. So I was thinking, I am already working on a structure for a nimble program that originally I was going to launch in the fall. Because of the current situation, and we call it the nimble program, so I have to be nimble as well. So why don't we make some changes, and bring that program to the community to help current businesses who are facing, because of closures or other challenges, if they can leverage technology to help them become sustainable, or even to become competitive when the whole pandemic is over, then we will be able to support them.
That's phenomenal. I saw that feature on CTV yesterday. So do all businesses, are they all eligible to access this funding? What is the eligibility criteria?
So we have to put some guidelines around the program, because we have limited funding available. So we are targeting small businesses that are at least 2 years old. The reason we do that, because startup, again, like EPICentre has other funding to help startups, and VTech as well. The companies who have been around for 2 years, they've done it for a little bit of time, some time. They understand their own business. They know who their clients are, and they are in the right position, that we can help them become sustainable. So the funding will help them get some technology, I guess, leverage available technology out there to help them achieve some efficiency and sustainability. And with that, they get mentorship from VTech. They can access small business centers programs and services, same with EPICentre's programs and services. And we have up to $4,000 to support each company to pay for eligible services, which will include, as much as we can, hire a student to do the technology development work.
That's amazing. And one of the things that I was encouraging yesterday, as I was talking to Lyndon, a student at the University of Windsor, is encouraging companies at this time to really support youth employment as much as they can, and
Yeah.
providing students the opportunity to develop some workforce skills, especially those that are graduating and those that are currently in the process of seeking a placement for their co-op position. So I'm glad that your program is also encouraging companies to hire students to help them with the technological applications. So I've been beginning to see companies go more digital and go online. I know that it's a little bit more challenging for companies that have not really ever had to go online. What are some of the shifts you've seen? So we've seen local grocers start going online. What are other things that you're beginning to see that you would want to advise other local entrepreneurs and small businesses to maybe consider if they don't get the funding?
Yeah, I think what we need to do is, because the pandemic is already changing the way we live, the way we work, the way we run business. And I can say it's going to change for, I wouldn't say forever, for a long time, right? And even companies, if you have forecasting made for this year and for the next 3 years, now they no longer valid, right? And whatever business strategy and business plan you have prior to March, then obsolete. You have to start almost all over again, because things are changing, and you have to know what is ahead of you, right? We have to stay up, well, probably not a good time to say, but we have to stay ahead of the curve in terms of business. One of the things that we see is, we know the issue with toilet paper, they were all sold out. But the other issues, or the other thing that I've been seeing is, people probably don't even expect hair clippers are off the shelf. Now they
Yeah. Oh,
have
yeah. I
high
know, because
demand
now
of
people. Yeah.
I know, but interestingly, I bought one before they were sold out. So I was a little bit ahead of the curve. So I'm able to cut my husband's hair, although it doesn't look as good. But interesting, right? Things that you don't think are going to be in high demand, but they are. So if you look at toys, I was having a hard time finding watercolor for my son.
When
I
I'm gonna
could
have
not
you.
find it anywhere.
So sorry. Like, I know we're
Mm-hmm.
live, but I'm gonna have you continue on talking because
Sure.
Adam woke up. I'm working from
Okay.
home. I just need to go get him before
Sure.
he does something crazy. Okay, so
Sure.
just keep explaining what you were just talking about. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. So we have to know, we have to be able to expect what is coming. And, if you can see, and I guess expect what is going to be in need in the future, because now we are already in the crisis for a month. We've already seen how the pattern has changed. So we want to stay, as businesses, we need to know how we can adapt to that culture. How can we make our products and services that are more cater to the clients, in the future clients, right? And even the way we deliver our products are going to be different, right? Is Adam okay?
The false alarm, but I was just
Oh,
really, really nervous.
yeah.
Sorry about
You can
that.
bring him in. I like
I
it.
know he's still sleeping though, so we're gonna keep him napping. It's his
Okay.
nap time. And I missed the last part you said,
Mhm,
but I know we were talking about how this pandemic is naturally changing how
mhm,
companies operate and how they deliver their
mhm,
services or their product, and trying to stay ahead of the curve. And
mhm,
at first we were worried about the
mhm.
shortage of toilet paper, but I also saw a post about hair clippers and
Yep. Mhm,
hair products going off the shelf. I have to say, one of the things I look forward to most when I go back is to go back to my hairdresser. Like, I'm heavily dependent on her,
mhm,
Vanessa Pizzo, for her amazing talent.
mhm,
And I know I have to still cut Adam's hair because it's in his eyes, but I can't wait to be able to give them back business because
mhm.
I'm sure they're struggling. But
Yeah.
I agreed. Like, I think that right now it's a good time for companies to really reflect on the way they operate and how
Mm-hmm.
they deliver their products or services, and how can they transition, and they may go back to what they used to do,
Mm-hmm.
but now added revenue or approach to then further support what their business does. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
really valuable.
Yeah, I think, and this is also, in a way, the crisis um, gave us a wake up call. Like now we know things change so quickly and it could be so sudden. So you have to be able to adjust and adapt to whatever changes that are coming along. So you have to run lean, you have to be nimble. Especially for small businesses, right? Otherwise, you can't survive, and that's very, very sad.
Exactly. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's so sad. And then just being, I like the name nimble, and it's something that we've, as an organization, we've always been nimble, just because
Mm-hmm.
we just recently received government funding. But one of the things that we've been trying to take advantage of is all the free subscriptions and tools and licenses that companies are providing. Like even Cisco is
Mm-hmm.
providing 3 months to enterprises to use their software, their platform, to then be able to do conference calls, webinars, virtual conferences. Shopify is offering 3 months of free registration where you could take the products and do set up an e-commerce website. So one of the things I definitely recommend, and a lot of our other guests have talked about, and soon when I have Yvonne, because I know she's really up to date on that, we've been highlighting some of those tools that companies could take and adapt to, and then register to help support the growth of their company more in the technological space. But one of the things I really want to talk about, and then you've probably seen it, is while all these platforms are great, it's still new. It's still a
Mm-hmm.
learning curve. It's still not second nature to many entrepreneurs. And when you're worried about your financials and your cash flow, also the health of your family, working remotely, it can get really overwhelming. What are some pieces of advice that you do provide to entrepreneurs to help them focus and prioritize, so that in the midst of all this pandemic and stress, they can find some comfort in learning these new tools that could support their companies?
Mm-hmm. So, for example, I can give you an example, right? So, Microsoft Teams is not really new, and the university has implemented Microsoft Teams all across, the for faculty and staff. And I had it installed on my computer for 3 months. I've never really used it. I open it up and it has a lot of features, but again, too many features that I don't even know where to start, right? And every week at our staff meeting, I mentioned that, and I think it was probably just a couple of months ago, and I said, yeah, this is the time that we need to look at new technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have been using email, Microsoft Office tools for 20, 30 years, but they're good to use, but there are a lot of new technology coming along, like social media. I'm okay. I won't say I'm an expert, but I'm okay with it. And then Microsoft Teams, right? So we have been teaching people to adopt technology, to be innovative. So from our perspective, we need to start doing that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I started to learn how to do different things, and they have that new term channel, started by Slack, Slack channel that you use to communicate. So we started it all. Okay, so I say, we should all use Microsoft Teams more to communicate, to share files, to plan our events and programs. And then, so we were just getting used to using Teams, and now we are all working from home. So now we are all very, very good at it, because, we were actually forced to use it. So, um, and I think it's human nature. You will always put things aside when it's not a priority. I do that too. I've been putting aside for a long time. But when you are forced to do it, you will know how to do it. So I think this is the time that we need to figure out what the future is moving into, and we see a lot of flexibility and work from home and flexible hours. So how do we as a workplace adjust to that, right? We need to figure that out as well. Like from my perspective, um, although it's still 9 to 5 time, but Nora, you're probably the same, right? I mean, we have a young kid at home. My husband works from home as well. We have to schedule our calls around each other, so one of us can watch my son. If we can't do that, then he has to watch TV, but we don't want him to watch TV 5 hours a day, right? So we are adjusting in a way that we take turns during the day. We do as much as we can, and then after he goes to bed, we pick up what's left off in the day, and then we continue. So and I'm very, very grateful that my boss is understanding and my team is understanding and supportive, so we can all we expect, if they don't hear from me today, they'll hear from me the next morning. Now that it's almost like we're working in a different time zone, but this
Yeah.
is how we need to be able to adjust, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And I was on a call before we got on Facebook Live, and that was essentially what this speaker was advising leaders to do is be empathetic and
Mm-hmm.
understanding that not everyone working remotely's environment looks the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it changes based on employees and their responsibilities and their stressors. So, even some families, like Mo and I both are working from home, but some families, the spouse may have been laid off, or both are laid off, and have to still provide, like our both our boys are still young enough, they're not in school, so they're
Mm-hmm.
not doing online learning.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge of keeping them off the device is difficult, but we don't have the added stress of also teaching them the curriculum that is presented by their school. So I love that piece of advice, and I'm finding consistency and common themes in a lot of leaders saying this is the time where we need to be empathetic, we need to be understanding, we need to be flexible, and then look beyond our own stressors to see how is all of this impacting our teams, our companies, our customers. So I think that's going to be very valuable. Another piece of valuable advice I heard today is, what's your company's purpose? And I love that. Like, this is the time where we could define what our purpose is and why we do what we do. So I follow you on LinkedIn, and I love your authenticity and your truth that you present on LinkedIn, because you often talk about the challenges that women face in the workforce, or the challenges people from different communities face in the workforce. And I look to you as an influencer in that area to hear your thoughts on it. So I'm glad to hear that you're getting more comfortable with social media, because I love your advice and your comments. So when we think of challenges, so here we are all facing the similar challenge with the pandemic crisis. What are specific challenges you've seen women face in business?
I, you know what? I think men will change the perspectives after this, because
Yeah.
now they're working from home, and they will see, especially if they have stay-at-home wife, they can now understand how difficult it is. I mean, I'm never a stay-home wife, and to be honest, my son is more attached to my husband than me. So Duncan is always, and Duncan's always the one who has to deal with him. um, but I see my neighbor and some of my friends who are stay-home mom, and I see husbands, very old-fashioned. They're young, but they're old-fashioned. They come home and they expect, I work a long day. I need my me time. So I need to be able to go out and jog around. I need to work on my hobbies and things like that, right? But mom is stuck at home all day, and then they were expected to be understanding of um, the pressure that husband gets from working outside. But I can bet now the men will be more understanding, because now they work from home. They know what it's like with kids running around at home all the time. And you can't, like, parenting, you cannot take time off, right? You all have to be in it together. So I hope this will help women a lot in the workforce in the future, because then men will be more empathetic, and then they understand. And then, we have always been doing the impossible, right, by taking care of work and taking care of home. So hopefully we will gain more respect, and we will bring us, you know
A little
more
bit more
let
balance.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you and I are kind of in a similar boat. Like, I have a very supportive spouse. I couldn't do what I do without my husband. He's very much a partner in everything that we do, whether it's cleaning, cooking, taking care of Adam, which is really helpful and beneficial to both our career growth and progression. But the reality of it is, I agree. I hope that when we come out of this, we see the role that gender has played and who's taking on most of the responsibility. But I also hope and encourage those that are both working from home, that one spouse does not assume their job or career path is more important than the other, because that was a struggle at the beginning. And Mo and I are both very supportive, and not that I thought mine was more important than his or vice versa, but we both needed time to focus on the changes happening in our industry or in our company. But we still had Adam, and we needed to figure out that routine and that schedule that worked for the both of us. And we have 5 weeks in, we finally figured it out. But it comes with challenges, and it means, you're right, like, it's as if you work in different time zones, or sometimes Adam might have to pop on a conference call, or he's in the background screaming, or whatnot. But I think what I'm finding is people are becoming more sympathetic and empathetic to the different challenges working parents have. I've also noticed, and I don't know if you agree, greater appreciation for the role that teachers, childcare, education plays in supporting our children's development. I see a lot more appreciation in that area. So I do hope that after this pandemic is over, or we overcome it, that we begin to come back to what really matters in life, and we come back to the social good and the role we all play in building strong and equitable communities. That's kind of like I don't know. I don't want to say it's wishful thinking, because I do think we can achieve it. We are both members of the RISE program. I had Nicole Anderson from the Windsor Economic Development Corporation on last week, who talked about the RISE initiative focused on really bringing an ecosystem together to help female entrepreneurs. So we talked about some of the challenges women face at home, balancing the home responsibilities along with their professional responsibilities. What are other challenges? Because we do know that women, there is an increase of females starting their businesses, but they're not starting businesses in, for example, STEM-related industries. So in manufacturing and technology and agriculture. Why? Why would you think, why in your mind, based on what the research you've seen, what's preventing women from going into those paths?
I think we all know that women were facing, or I guess still facing, with a lot of systemic barriers. And statistics that I read, that only about 15% of small to medium-sized enterprises are owned by majority women-owned companies. And it doesn't mean that women are less likely to want to start a company, but again, they consistently face with the same issues, right? For example, for investment standpoint, if they don't think they can get investment, why would they want to start something that they know it's set up to be a failure, right? So we really have to do a better job at that. And I know a lot of investors like VCs and angels are stepping up, and we are seeing more angels that are women angels, that they will specifically invest in women startups, and I think that will help. And the language, right? And we always hear this: you can't be what you don't see. So we have to be very cognizant of the message we send out there. And I think from EPICentre's perspectives, and we we have a we actually have a diverse workforce. We have about eight. I think we have 8 people in our team, including student employees and the co-op student. But we are 50-50 male and female, and we and I think that is a good message to show that we value diversity and even cultural diversity. We do have different cultural backgrounds. I think it's good that if we show people that look at our team, we are a diverse team, and we also actually started to be more cognizant of the message, the language that we use, the pictures that we use for promotional materials. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, if they see a picture of all men, why would they want to join? Because they don't see that it's an environment that is comforting or to them. And for STEM field, it's the same thing, right? I mean, when they talked about technology, they talked about engineering and science. The examples that we consistently see are male oriented. So we need to be, and we have a lot of female leaders, especially the pandemic. We see a lot of female in healthcare, in science, that are actually leading the combat, right? The fight
Mm-hmm.
the challenge, right? So if we can show more female leaders in the community, then we can encourage the young girls and even parents, right? If parents come from a world where it's male dominated, they sometimes like subconsciously will pass that message to the kids, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
need them to be able to see that as well, so that they can teach their children that you can do it. Like, I mean, you're a girl, but we can go to space, we can be an engineer, we can be a scientist. I mean, then we encourage them. And I strongly believe that genetically we all can learn things the same way. It's just given the right opportunity to develop that talent.
Exactly. And this is why I love the services offered at the EPICentre. And this is why I would love to encourage more students to
Mm-hmm.
access your services and your programs, especially the opportunity for them to receive some funding to
Mm-hmm.
build out their idea or to gain support. Maureen Lucas was
Mm-hmm.
the founder and owner of LucasWorks. And
Mm-hmm.
it was a very successful, continues to be a successful company in our local area, but she also scaled it across the province. She reached out to me at one point, because we knew each other from the community, to ask me how she could help me with Build a Dream. I mean, she's so invested in watching not only females succeed in the industry, but helping youth and students build out their
Mm-hmm.
company so that they could reach the success that she has. So, but she's not the only one. Like, I see that Frank Abrazazi, who is the president of Alpha Core, sits on the Build a Dream board. He's
Mm-hmm.
extremely supportive of students. I know he's been a speaker at the EPICentre. Kirsten Fox works at St. Clair College. She works in the skilled trade. She's tuned in. And I see that your team has also tuned in to tell us about the Nimble program.
Mm-hmm.
But there are so many entrepreneurs that have been very extremely successful leading companies in our region that are more than happy and actually are enriched by offering their lessons and advice to future entrepreneurs and to new entrepreneurs, because similarly to all of us, we're all in this together, and there's a sense of satisfaction when you give back
Mm-hmm.
everything that you've enabled. It's about paying it forward. And that's the EPICentre. And I know that right now people are uncertain of what the future holds, but this is a great time for certain students to start
Mm-hmm.
with the ideation stage and thinking, well, what does the world going to look like in 6 months, in a year? What do we have that may not be prevalent anymore, but what isn't available that's going to be really needed? And this is a good time for those ideas to start being examined and discussed to see where that could go. So there's the Nimble program, and then there's the Founders program.
Yeah, the
Is there
Founders
anything?
program.
Yeah, is there anything else that they could access right now as a student or as an alum?
Yeah, definitely. So the founders program we run in cohort, and it's a 3 months program, and students must be able to commit to working full time, validating their ideas throughout the summer.
Okay.
If they don't have the full time commitment, then unfortunately they can't participate because we pay them up to $6,000 to participate. So in a way, it's their seed money to start the business, which is why we also require full-time commitment. But if they are not at that stage yet, or if they don't have full-time hours to commit, then our discovery program that we have rolling application, we take, and it's pretty much, if you're interested, you are in, because like I mentioned before, right, the example with Dane, no matter what idea you have, it never, it will never be the idea that you start a business with, right? Because
Yeah.
you go through the process and then you will change along the way. So whatever ideas you have, you come join the program. We walk you through. We provide you with the skills and the resources on how you can validate your own idea. And this is also the best time for them if they want to work on something, not full time but part time commitment. Then it's a great program to support them.
So we'll definitely have the link to your website available, along with the link to some of these applications if they're provided online. What should the community and those that are tuning in pay attention to with the EPICentre? I know we talked briefly before we went live about you consolidating some of the resources for entrepreneurs in our local area. Is there any other messages that you want to provide those tuning in?
I think we at this time we are all facing the same challenge, right? And we need strong. We need to support each other, and for our mental health and all those, right? And we, like, from employer standpoint, a lot of employees may be working remotely, but they may be by themselves. Not everyone has family with them. So with the social distancing, they can't go see their family because they're far away, and they cannot even go to the office to socialize. So we all have to have a very strong support network. So we want to make sure that we keep in touch with everyone. We, like at EPICentre, my team, we have um, like virtual meetings twice a week, so we can all stay connected, and we can communicate with each other, and check up on each other, right? And same way, I think this is important time that we need to keep our sanity. And if you don't have mental like mental health, how do you move forward, right? And I know, like you mentioned earlier, that you are trying to stay off social media for a little bit during the day, because we see so much information about COVID-19, right? New cases, like death, and they're all very depressing, and reading too much of this, it's not healthy as well. So I like your suggestion, if you can be offline for a little bit, so that you are not bombarded with all the negative and the depressing news, but use your energy to focus on something healthier and more positive.
And that's great advice. And I've asked all of our guests some of their mental health tips. So that was a really good tip. Do you have any other mental health tips that you've applied at home that have helped you through the last couple of weeks in working remotely? Because I know right now, like, not to put you on blast, but you're sitting on your child's kiddie table
I
in your
know.
guest room.
Yeah.
And that's difficult, right? Because you're like, even yesterday, I was trying to figure out where to go record. My husband was on a conference call. Adam was sleeping, and I'm like, I have nowhere to go that's not going to be echoed in the recording. So, what are some other health tips that you've applied that have worked?
Find a new hobby at home, right? And try to do things that you always want to do but you don't have time. A lot of people take on cooking, and I always enjoy cooking, but and that's what I'm trying to try to come up with new dishes that I can make. So check on check some, find some new recipe online and look at your friends' new recipe and try that out. And if you want anything that you can learn and keep you busy and keep your mind off the depressing news, do that. Even a lot of universities are offering free online courses, so it's a good time to learn something new as well.
Mm-hmm. If that's what you're looking for, exactly. And it's so funny
Mm-hmm.
because DoubleTree posted their chocolate chip cookie recipe. Have you ever stayed at a DoubleTree hotel?
No.
They offer you like a fresh baked cookie when you check in. They're absolutely delicious. So when they launched it on Saturday, I think it was, I'm like, I'm making this tonight. So I made them, and I must admit, they don't taste the same, and they're not even that great. So I'm going to have to give it another try. But if anyone has a chocolate chip cookie recipe that is guaranteed to taste good with my skills, please send it my way, because the DoubleTree was a letdown for me. So I'm just going to have to leave it to them to make those delicious cookies. And then lastly, name one local company that you've either ordered takeout from or that you've continued to support during the pandemic that you want to give a shout out to.
So I have not ordered any takeout yet. I mean,
Okay.
I love cooking, so
Yes, yeah.
I've been doing that at home. But I guess guilty pleasure, I ordered Walkerville beer, and they
Yeah.
deliver it. It's very good.
Good. Okay, perfect. So we'll have to add their link, and it's all about supporting local. Today I posted, and for those listening, if there's an entrepreneur or a local company, Adam loves fire trucks, like absolutely loves fire trucks, and his birthday's coming up. So I want to get him some fire trucks that make sounds, and a fire truck Elmo, or firefighter Elmo. So if you sell any of those products and you're local, send me your link. I'm going to order from you, because I think right now it's about supporting community. But we love ordering takeout, and I was so excited to see that Winology came back and was providing takeout. So that's my favorite restaurant, and love supporting them. But love supporting everyone. And if you're a local business and you want us to give you a shout out, just send us a message, and we'll definitely share your link and your website with our viewers. But Wen, it's always a pleasure talking to you. I love what you do. I love what you stand for. And I highly recommend to everyone that's tuning in to check out what the EPICentre has to offer. And if you have a business idea, don't know where to start, check out the EPICentre, because they're an organization and a service in our community that is really invested in the growth of others. So I've worked with them very closely and highly recommend them to anyone that's looking to get their idea off the ground. So I really appreciate having you here, Wen.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And best of luck. Let me know when your desk comes in, so you have like an actual space that's comfortable. I appreciate you sitting on a kiddie table while doing this interview.
A
plastic chair. Like, I really appreciate it. And for all those tuning in, I really appreciate you checking us out and continuing to support our Facebook Live. If you have any ideas or want to be a guest, feel free to reach out to us at info@webuildadream.com. And tomorrow, I am excited to be chatting with one of our very own new employees, Maya, who started the week of the pandemic. So she's going to chat with us about what it's like starting a new job, coming back to Windsor during a pandemic, along with a lot of great advice for students. So look forward to chatting with Maya. And again, thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you, Wen, and we'll see you again. Bye, everyone. Bye.